until the last minute to complete the work, I'm sorry, it's not going to be reset, okay? Because once again, Blackboard tells me, and I can tell if you started it at 10:45 or 11:45 and it was due at midnight, okay? I see that, so it won't be reset. However, I understand emergencies happen. You just need to have proof of the emergency, like the hospital release note or whatever the case might be, okay? You need to provide me the documentation. These are not acceptable excuses for not completing week 1 work, because not having a textbook. Well, we've already talked about the link, and there is a free trial, okay? So the publisher offers, I think it's a 3-week trial on the website. 2 weeks, okay, need to fix that. Incorrectly uploading work, not really a problem for us because I have everything listed step by step, and I've already shown you how to do that. Adding the class late, well, today's drop day, so you still have from now till Sunday to get it done. Can't access Connect, shouldn't be happening. I have the link right there, Blackboard, in the assignment tab, okay? Connect, if there are problems on their side, they usually email letting me know, okay? If that happens, and say it is on a Sunday, I will extend the assignment by day. All right, so they usually let me know. Can't navigate Blackboard, well, that should not be an issue either, but there are tutorials on the JSARG site. Not having an internet connection, we have numerous computer labs throughout the campus, okay, and we have wireless available. Like I said, if an emergency happens, just provide me with the proper documentation. If something happens and I need to substitute an assignment, this is what will take place for the substitution, okay? Academic honesty, I expect that to be followed at all times in my class. This is a policy set forth by Reynolds. You can simply click on this link right here and it will take you to the policy word for word. Attendance policy. Yes, I have one. We have to have one. It's a policy set forth by Reynolds, okay? You'll see that I have everything letting you know that it's a Reynolds policy. The way that I take attendance, I have your names here, you sign here, and you'll note there are 2 sign-ins for each day. Because the way that the day will work, we'll have class 11 to 12:15, get a 15-minute break, come back 12:30 to 1:45. So we have 2 sign-ins, okay? So that's how the attendance works. Because we are an 8-week class, the most absences that you can have that are unexcused, okay? Actually, the maximum period should only be 4. Because if you think about it, if you miss 4 days, technically you've missed 8 of class. Because we're doing 2 classes per day is basically what we're doing, okay? So 4 is the max. If they're unexcused and it goes past that point, grade does begin to drop, okay, by a letter grade. Class attendance policy. My class starts promptly at 11 a.m. Now, what I will do, I will provide you, well, actually what I'll get you to do, if you want to be part of a text group, okay, you can, I'll send around a piece of paper, you put your name, your cell phone number, I'll create a group text message, okay, which means it's going to have my number on it too, okay. Please don't include me on a bunch of other texts, okay. Just keep it as the one for the class, okay. Please don't text like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, okay. Just remember, it's just for class, okay. If you're going to be late, simply shoot me a real quick text so I know not to lock you out of class, okay. Because here's what happens. My class starts promptly at 11. I start class at 11. Did anybody notice that today? that when the clock hit 11 o'clock, I promptly started, okay? So what happens, I lock the door, all right? Because if the absences, or well, I should say the tardiness, okay, becomes a big problem, and I understand that lots of professors allow that. I'm not other professors. I'm only me. This is my class, okay? I do not tolerate late entry because not only does it disrupt my class, okay, it's a disruption to your other classmates who were here on time, okay? So I will not tolerate late entry. However, I will create the group text so that if maybe, I don't know, there's a traffic issue or whatever the case might be, you can let me know, Dr. Young, traffic was bad, I'm on my way, and I won't lock that door. What I expect you to do, however, when you get here, I expect you to enter the class quietly, go to your seat quietly, less interruption as possible. Any questions about that?
For the second half, like let's say somebody was late and you take
there should be nobody coming in late my second half.
Okay, now I was just making sure because you said like the door locked.
Oh yeah, you could come in. You could like if you missed the first time.
Yeah.
You could just go wait, come in at the second half.
That's what. Okay.
Yeah, but if you think about the break time from 12:15 to 12:30, nobody should come in late at 12:30. Okay, that should not happen. All right, you should make sure that you're back up here coming in my class when I shut that door at 12:30, and it will be shut promptly at 12:30. Okay. Any questions about my attendance policy? All right, so let's see. Class attendance, maximum absences. The course, we already mentioned the lecture, the online, the lab, in-depth study, anatomy and physiology. I list my philosophy of education. Once again, professional setting. This also applies to email. Okay? When sending an email, first of all, you're supposed to be emailing from the JSarge account. Okay? We're not supposed to open any other emails from another email. So if I get something like, you know, something at hotmail.com or whatever, I don't open those. Okay, I only open the ones from the JSarge email, so make sure you always email me from that. And then, if the email comes to me and I open it and it's written to me like you would write a text message, I'm not replying. Okay, I will send that email back going no reply. All right, because I'm not going to, that is not a professional setting. A professional setting uses proper English, grammar, spelling, and punctuation, okay? So that's how you'll always get an email from me. So far as emailing me, it's okay to just simply say, Dr. Young, blank, okay? You don't have to like go into this long, huge, you know, paragraph to ask me one question. It is okay to simply say, Dr. Young, I think my grade on Lab 4 is incorrect. Will you please check it? Okay? It's okay to say that. All right? Because when I write the email back, I'm going to be succinct and I'm going to say, hello, Sue. Yes, I will check this. Okay? So it doesn't have to be a long email. It just needs to be professional and respectful. Okay? So email etiquette, very important. We're going to sign a syllabus agreement, okay, because that's going to state that you understand all of my policies, you're going to follow all of my policies. So that when you don't follow one of my policies, I'm going to have this, and I'm going to say, you stated you were going to follow my policy, you didn't, consequence is blank. All right, any questions? Now, electronic devices. I understand that we are in the electronic age, okay? I might be a dinosaur, but I'm not that much of a dinosaur, okay? I understand that some people like to do their notes on their laptop, all right? Maybe they have a tablet, they write with the stylus, whatever the case might be. I understand that, all right? I'm asking one thing. If you're going to choose to do your notes that way, sit up here at the front, because I'm going to monitor what's being shown on your computer, all right? I want to see the screen. And if I see anything other than my PowerPoint up on your screen, I'm going to ask you to close it down. I'm going to ask you to leave my class. All right? Any questions? Now, the cell phones. We're only in here for 1 hour, 15-minute segments. Put them away. I do not want to see them. I do not want to hear them. I don't want to look at them. I don't want them on the table. I don't want them plugged into the plug-in. And trust me on this one right here. If you're sitting back there in the chair and you're doing this number, I know what you're doing, okay? I mean, seriously, I know what you're doing. I'm going to simply walk over to you and say, please leave my class for now, okay? You can re-enter class tomorrow, but for today, you need to go, okay? If it happens a second time, I'm going to actually ask you to go speak to the dean of students. This is not a Dr. Young policy. This is a J-Sarge policy. Once again, I understand not every professor follows this. I'm not every professor. I don't have to worry about that. I only have to worry about my class. All right? Now, any questions about my electronic devices? Food or drink? Food, I would prefer not, okay? However, we are in here for a long time. I have to talk for a long time. I understand, just maybe, don't be like, kind of keep it under wraps, okay, for something to drink, okay? Because I totally understand that, all right? Any questions about food or drink? All right. When we're doing the labs, you might want to put it out, okay? Put it in your bag or whatever. Now, for the rest of the syllabus, basically what I've done, I simply restate how information, assignments, that sort of thing is being done. It's not a lot of different, it's just a restatement, okay, of what it does, letting you know the percentages and that sort of thing. Extra credit. I'm not a fan of it, okay? I don't believe in it, because I believe if you have done everything that you're supposed to do for the course, you shouldn't need extra credit, okay? However, I understand that it's very much dependent upon now in the education system, I think. I don't know for sure, but I know that I get asked a lot about extra credit, okay? I will offer a couple of opportunities. That's it. Just maybe 2 at the most. If you're not here when it's offered, you don't get it. Okay? So it is simply going to be on whatever day we do something that I'm like, oh, well, we could use that as extra credit. All right? That's what I'll do. The student with accommodations. This is information by J. Sarge. When we begin to look at emergency procedures, has everybody signed up for the emergency alert system? Okay, because that's definitely how they told us about being out yesterday. Okay, then of course send an email wanting you to be, I guess, looking at your Gmail account for here. So that's how they'll let us know about everything. Other resources that are available throughout JSarge. Now, when we get to this page right here, this is the page that I was letting you know has all of the study guide information. Okay, so starting at this point, you can see Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Atlas A, and it continues for every single chapter. This is where I would copy, paste into a Word document, create the extra lines that are in here, and fill stuff out as you're reading, as you're studying, as we're talking, whatever the case might be. Okay, but this is your study guide for the entire semester. Something that I want to point out, as you go through the chapters, once we get to chapter, all right, so once we get to chapter 7 is where we're going to start the skeletal system. Chapter 8, we're continuing. 9 talks about the joints. Chapter 10 gets us into the muscles. 11, muscles also. 12 starts us in the nervous system. After chapter 12, this is material that you're going to be expected to know. Okay? I'm letting you know piece by piece by piece what you're expected to know for some of this anatomy. Okay? For example, the skeletal system. This is everything on the skeletal system that I want you to know. Now, there are 206 bones. Okay? Not all of them are listed here. There are certain bones that are listed, certain features or landmarks on those bones that I want you to be familiar with. That's the type of stuff we'll study in lab. Okay? The muscles, once again, same thing. Okay? I have a list of the muscles that you're expected to know. There are over 600 muscles in the body. There is no way that you're going to know all 600. So this is the list. Basically, our focus is superficial. Okay, so it's going to be a lot of muscles that you might already be familiar with. But the other thing that we begin to learn about muscles, we begin to learn their actions, their origins, and insertions. So for a few of the muscles, ones that are very familiar, that get a lot of injuries to them, that sort of thing, okay, I have put up here what I want you to know for some of the major muscles, okay? I have actually given you the information. I'm not asking you to find origin and insertion. I've already got it here. All you got to do is learn it, okay? Then continues for a couple of more, and then some more of the muscles I want you to know. So everything so far is like the bones and the muscles that tends to be a little overwhelming. You're knowing right now, day 1. Any questions about the syllabus? All right, so here's our syllabus agreement. Read through, initial in the boxes, sign, and class, you can just put bio 141. Okay, you don't have to worry about the 41 DT. And then the session, of course, is spring 2017.
But the sign up was part of it. For this signing for today, are we still
Yeah, so there's like
the last? Yeah.
For this last part, where it's all the different skeletal and everything you need to know specifically, is that under a chapter, or is it just like in
those are going to match starting at chapter 7.
Oh.
So at chapter 7 is where you'll see those